Pikami starting things off with Pot of Prosperity, which is very powerful. We saw how yesterday she basically privilegized the Masquerade play. What I really liked about the strategy was going for the Masquerade play alongside with the Mirror Jade.
Yeah, the prioritization around that Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon, of course, with 2 of them out, it was 1,200 life points every time somebody wanted to take an action. Talk to me a little bit about this matchup, and we've seen Pikami's branded cards time and time again, both in her deck and in the decks of a couple of other competitors, but RevzCards with the Tri-Brigade. I want to hear from you how the Tri-Brigade deck deals with something as scary to deal with as the branded Despia.
So first of all, RevzCards is very familiar with this deck because he himself is playing some branded cards in his deck. On the other side, we are saying Pikami adding the Maxi out of Pot of Prosperity, which I think is very powerful because basically she will be able to put up a very impressive field, but the Maxi is there as well for RevzCards. This is very good because basically now Pikami, I'm really curious to see what she will be doing next, because if she decides to let this Maxi resolves and continue with her special summon, from what we saw yesterday, the branded Despia deck relies a lot on special summoning monsters, but you don't really want your opponent to draw a lot of cards, right?
And actually, something of note, by the way, with Pikami's branded Despia deck is the fact that there is not a single light monster in it. So there is one less target in the extra deck that she could go for here. But again, as you highlighted earlier, it's Masquerade the Blazing Dragon that start things off, and that does mean that RevzCards will be at a life point disadvantage from the get-go.
So this was basically the standard combo we have been witnessing yesterday. Usually Pikami went for double Masquerade alongside with the Dramaturge, and also we have to keep in mind that this combo was 8,000 life points precise.
And something I do want to highlight is with our previous match today, we saw Lithium take the victory, and Lithium tended to have the longest, most drawn-out duels with the control nature of that Dogmatica deck. Pikami, on the other hand, had so many convincing turn 1, turn 2 victories that I'm now looking to see what exactly we can get in terms of a field setup from this branded Despia deck.
I like the RevzCards activates the Infinite Permanence on the Aluber, because basically if he would have let result the Aluber, then later on she would have had the branded Fusion. I think this is a good situation to activate the Infinite Impermanence, but we have to keep in mind that the Masquerade is there, so every single card activation from RevzCards will cost him 600 life points.
And now RevzCards with a few cards in hand actually, thanks to that Maxi. He's got what you have to imagine will be a couple of key components to his combos. Still thinking how he can deal with the field that is currently presenting itself. 3 monsters on the side of Pikami, and as you mentioned, every effect activated going to be 600 life points to the face.
Yeah, he really needs to be careful, because on one hand, he not only needs to deal with the Masquerade, but also with the Maxi Nan from Pikami. He goes with the Alberts, and he loses 600 life points, but let's see what will be up next.
Branded Fusion.
Okay. Here comes the Maxi from Pikami as well. Masquerade being summoned, but Ash Blossom being chained to Maxi. This is super powerful.
I'm actually very intrigued that RevzCards managed to get Maxi, Infinite Impermanence, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
Yeah.
So many answers to what Pikami has been doing so far.
Yeah, exactly. He had all the needed answers, and what I really like is that he basically used the Fallen of Albus effect. I really like it, because basically he got the chance to fuse with the Masquerade from Pikami, and I really like this, because by doing this he is able to put up on the field the Mirror Jet. As you currently mentioned, we have to say that he started things off with Maxi Impermanence and Ash Blossom. A very incredible start.
And is that enough disruption to overcome Pikami's plans for the game, do you think?
Here the Dramaturge triggers, and now the Mirror Jet as well will be activated. Let's see what RevzCards get rid of. This is a very close game, because basically both of our players started things off very well, I have to say. Pikami had a very good setup, but I think what really is paying off is the Ash Blossom on the Maxi, because Pikami's one unfortunately did not resolve, and now we get the chance to seeing the Tri-Brigade cards with the Fractal being discarded. He will discard the Nerval as well. The Nerval will activate his effect, search the Keras. Does he have a monsters to discard for the Keras? He does. Wow. What a hand from RevzCards, I have to say.
Yeah, a couple of those helped out by the Maxi, of course, in turn 1.
Yeah.
But from this point onwards, RevzCards, as you said, really, really promising for him that he's managed to start with the cards that he did. So many disruptions and the good start to his combo to boot. Really difficult prospect for Pikami to overcome this.
Exactly, because basically now it is almost impossible to stop all these plays from RevzCards unless the Pikami has...
So where do these plays go for RevzCards, assuming that there is no disruption from Pikami? What is the end goal for this field?
Well, you really want to put up on the field the Tri-Brigade Revolt for the next turn in order to interrupt, and having the Omen later on. You don't really want to summon the Omen now. You just go for some Link summons. Now she goes for the Albion in hand, something that we haven't seen quite often. She sends the he sends the Branded Sword to the graveyard, and this plays is actually very cool, because basically now it will be activating the Branded Sword, taking back the Mercurian to the hand, and then the Albion will resolve. Basically goes to the bottom of the deck, draw a card, and I think RevzCards is showing us how powerful his Tri-Brigade branded deck is.
And the thing about this matchup is, as we mentioned, Pikami is playing the full-on version of what is primarily used as a component to reinforce the win conditions of other decks. But RevzCards right now, utilizing that very same component, is currently off to a fantastic start.
Yeah, we have to give credit to him. Of course, he started things off incredibly well. I really like the way he played that out. He also now is able to summon and shuffle back one of Pikami monsters back with the Desperate Doom Eagler. And now, once again, we will be seeing Access Code Talk being summoned this weekend.
Hey, it took a while to show its face on day 2, yeah. Actually, speaking of this being day 2, by the way, and this, of course, being the second in our quarterfinal matchups, RevzCards, despite being in what feels like almost full control of this game, he comes in as the second seed. Pikami won her group. Pikami, heading into this, had the advantage.
Yeah, she definitely had the advantage, but RevzCards, with an impressive field, wins game 1. Very, very well played by him, I have to say. Yeah, I like the way, basically, of course we have to say that he started things off with Maxi, Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence, so the ideal end. And I think it's also worth mentioning that he started things off with Fallen of Albas getting rid of the Masquerade, which was very, very important.
And I do want to highlight the fact that you mentioned the Tri-Brigade Revolt, of course, being such a key card. Didn't even need the follow-up turn to use that. Didn't need Shuraig, the Ominous Omen. Just completely locked down the game from turn 1.
He had the perfect hand. Also because when he added the Keras, he needed a Beast Warrior to be discarded for the Keras. And he also had it. With that being said, basically what I really liked is that he consider the option to go for the access code talker and seal the game. That's what happened. Guys, let's jump into game 2.
Can Pikami bounce back and take this victory over RevzCards to take it to a game 3? That will be the question here as we do head in to our next game. The winner of this as well will face off against Lithium in the first of our semi-finals later on in the day. So let's see.
Well, now Lithium is just studying their opponents, and I think that his deck is very well prepared to play against both of these decks. In the meantime, let's just talk about our game 2 that we will be seeing next between our Pikami and RevzCards. I think that after going undefeated in day 1, if you're Pikami, you have to feel very confident about this, but we saw, and we mentioned it already, that the competition is very high, and our players are fighting to become our first ever Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel champion.
I spoke with actually a lot of the players after day 1 to get some perspective on how they're feeling coming into day 2 and who they think is the most formidable opponent. And everyone highlighted Pikami's dominance with this branded Despia deck as being something that they are very much looking out for.
Yeah, yesterday I think we have seen a lot of action, and what I really like is that even though our players have, different strategy with their deck, we have seen some cards being summoned so many times, such as the Access Code Talker, which was very impactful, for example. But also we have some MVPs, I'd like to say, such as the RP's Feather Duster, which was very, very good.
I think Crossout Designator has probably overthrown that as the most impactful card of the tournament so far.
Yeah. It really made the difference, especially as we saw in our first match today.
So, yeah, day 1 was one thing, our first match of the day was another, but this match in particular, very much still alive.
Yeah, it's still alive, especially because after losing game 1, if I were Pikami, I am 100% sure that she doesn't want to give up. She wants to fight to win the game 2 and then go into the game 3. I think either way, she's also super well prepared going second.
Yeah.
Because basically she has, her deck is very good because she also plays the super polymerization in the main deck. If you go second against a deck like RevzCards deck, you're also able to activate the super polymerization. And this might be very, very helpful for it.
You can essentially do what RevzCards did with the Aluba the Jester of Despia.
Exactly.
Sorry, actually the Fallen of Albaz.
Yeah.
And you can just reverse that with the super polymerization.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll be really intriguing
you
to
can
see.
take advantage of your opponent with basically just one card. And I think overall also, if I were RevzCards, for how the tournament ended up yesterday with a 2-1 record, I think I will be also super satisfied with how game 1 turned on, because basically Pikami started things off with the Maxi and the Masquerade. I think the responses that he had were incredible, honestly, very spot on. Going into this game 2, he must be super confident, and but both of these players need to keep in mind that the players that they will be facing into the semifinals is Lithium with the Dogmatica deck. And I think that Lithium only lost 2-1 yesterday to the Dragon Link deck after a very, very, very hard battle.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, because we will be seeing Lithium once again. I'm very looking forward to seeing him.
I would actually just like to kind of draw our player perspective back to that of Pikami. Because you've come into this as the first seed, you dominated your group on day 1. Now, heading into game 2 at a game disadvantage, how do we see this branded Despia deck come back against RevzCards?
You really want to come back into this. You want to play out your cards. You have a very good strategy. And our players are ready. RevzCards is starting things off with Fire Formation Tanky.
So I'd actually consider Pikami's turn 1 in the previous game to be pretty good. It is one of the better end field states that you'd want from any kind of deck, especially branded Despia.
Yeah.
So please talk to me about how that can be improved upon and what it is exactly that Pikami is looking for in this game.
Yeah, so as we saw, Pikami decided to activate the Ash Blossom on the Fire Formation, tagging, hoping that his opponent didn't have anything else going on the line, but the rescue card was there, and from now on, if Pikami doesn't have any other sort of interruption, it will be very, very helpful for the RevzCards.
So you'd consider RevzCards turn 1 setup to be more difficult to deal with than that Branded Despia start of the previous game?
Yeah, because basically he might be able to go for the Ancient Warrior's Oath that we also saw yesterday, which is very powerful.
How would that shut down Pikami's gameplay?
So basically the Ancient Warrior Oath, it is able to basically bounce back 1 card from your opponent's side of the field.
Okay.
And with that being said, if RevzCards is able to put up the Stardom combo by getting the Tri-Brigade Revolt, it also comes the Omen. As we saw, the rescue card alone does all of this. We have to remember that the Ash Blossom was activating on the Fire Formation tanking, which is something that I can understand, honestly, because if your opponent doesn't have anything else going on. Of course, the rescue card was there, but here comes the Rampage, and I think RevzCards is playing well because you also get the Mercurier, and from now on he will be able to activate also the Rampage, pitching the Mercurier.
Give me some of the rationale behind why we've ended up with this field looking like the way it has.
Although I have to say he had the Branded Fusion in hand. I think
why do we go for this play instead of the Branded Fusion play?
I think maybe he wants to avoid summoning some fusion monsters on the side of the field in order to prevent Super Polymerization being activated. And I think this is a very smart play because basically you don't really want to risk a game in which you already have a huge advantage, because we are saying that basically Pikami doesn't have any other sort of interruption. We have to say that indeed, and I really like this, RevzCards is going for the Ancient Warrior's Oath, which is now being summoned, and now he gets back the Mercurier, Albion goes to the top, he gets another card. I really like this because basically now it will be another Link summon for the Anaconda.
Okay.
The Blossom will activate.
And the Anaconda gets the Branded Fusion, presumably, and then we end up.
Yeah, I think this, on one hand, now I can understand why he get rid of the Branded Fusion earlier on in the turn. He really wanted to go for the Anaconda. And now we will soon see the Mirror Jade being summoned. Here it comes. What a start from RevzCards, because he also gets the Tri-Brigade Revolt. What a setup.
Yeah, RevzCards having what is probably the best turn 1 of his tournament so far.
Yeah.
And if there ever were a time to have it, it would be in this knockout bracket.
Yeah, I mean, with this start, RevzCards might be holding, for example, also an Infinite Impermanence. I will not be surprised at all. Or a Cold by the Grave. Let's see what Pikami can do to face this impressive turn 1 from RevzCards.
Pikami now thinking to herself, you have to imagine that the pressure is on. This is the tournament for you.
Yeah, and
back
here
is against the wall.
Comes the Super Polymerization I was talking to you guys about. With the Mirror Jade being on the field, she will be able to actually activate Super Polymerization.
Where do you go from here? What is the next step after Super Polymerization?
It really depends basically on what she's holding in her hand, because now she will be able to put on the field the Dragos Tapelia.
That is, I think, the first time we've seen this card this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's very powerful, especially in the Branded Despia deck. But we have to keep in mind that in the end phase, the effect of the Mirror Jade will result destroying all your opponent's monster.
Why is this card powerful, Alberto?
I think this Tapelia is very good, especially while activating a Super Polymerization, because not only you get rid of your opponent's monster, but you put a very good interaction here. Ash Blossom on the Branded Fusion. Wow. I think that if Branded Fusion would have resolved, RevzCards could have been in trouble. But with this Ash Blossom being activated, honestly, we have to keep in mind that RevzCards is holding one Tri-Brigade Revolt, and we might be seeing also an Infinite Impermanence, for example, on his side. Ash Blossom results. Unfortunately for Pikami, who is shaking her hand. Let's see
where
she does
does
next.
Pikami go from here? What is the way back into this one? How do you keep yourself in this tournament?
This is very complicated because basically she would have extended her plays a lot if the Branded Fusion resolved. That's not the case because RevzCards started things off once again incredibly well. He's activated the Ancient Warrior's Oath that I really liked, but here comes this Tapelia. Let's see.
And of course, as you mentioned, we do have that kind of looming threat of the Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon effect at the end of this turn, but this turn is not ending.
Here Pikami has the Branded in red.
And what does that mean?
So basically the Branded in red was able to resolve, getting back the Ad Libitum.
Okay. And why is Ad Libitum of Despia a good option here? Where are we going with this?
So she will be able to fusion summon. In this situation, she banished the Ad Libitum and using the Dragon's Tapelia once again for the Masquerade.
Even so, you have to consider Tri-Brigade Revolt. No matter how much you clear the field of RevzCards, he has that last-minute option. He has what is essentially a guaranteed Tri-Brigade Shurag, the Ominous Omen, plus everything else that is coming out of that graveyard.
Exactly, that's the point. I think that even though the Masquerade, of course, is a very, very good card in this situation, the Tri-Brigade Revolt is there. So it will be very powerful when it will be activated, but once again, let's remind that the Mirror Jade in the end phase will resolve and destroy all opponents' monsters.
Still waiting for that end phase to come, however. Pikami in the main phase 2 now, thinking about how to save this game.
She's trying to do her best, honestly, to stay in this game. RevzCards activating the Tri-Brigade Revolt. He will be able to bring back some Tri-Brigade monsters from the graveyard.
Here they come. And you have to imagine these are another Tri-Brigade Shurag, the Ominous Omen. There's one in his graveyard already.
Yes, it is.
Some formidable monsters on the side of Pikami, but still waiting for that Mirror Jade.
Exactly, but the thing is that I think she played well because basically the Tapelia got banished and then she was able to bring it back to the field. We are seeing multiple damage being inflicted to RevzCards because of Masquerade. It really needs to keep attention to this.
Infinite Impermanence. That was held for so long, waiting for the correct time.
He also had the Infinite Impermanence being set. What a start from RevzCards.
Ooh, a 6 chain. Probably the longest of the tournament so far.
Yeah. Because I thought for a moment that he would have activated only a couple of his Tri-Brigade monsters because he's left with 2400 life points. Still, he is in control of the game. The Omen will be resolving, although it was played out very well from Pikami because the Tapelia got punished and then it was bring back. Here comes the end phase. Mirror Jade will resolve, and now, as we are saying, RevzCards, can he push enough damage?
Pikami is wide open here. Can RevzCards take this game and secure his place in the semi-finals against Lithium? Thinking about it.
So he's going for the kit. I'm considering if there's a chance he might be going for game.
Is there the potential for him to end the game this turn? How does he get 8,000 life points of damage in this single turn? Like this, apparently.
So he needs to make some calculation, but I'm pretty sure he might be having enough damage on the field, because now he's going once again for the Desperate Doomigler. Activate its effect, shuffling back the Masquerade.
5,400 plus 700, 6,100 points of damage on the field right now. Need 1,900 more to hit that 8,000. But there appears to be a Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon, in the way. Access code talker.
Guess who's coming?
Guess who's going to seal the deal on this game?
Access code talker being summoned once again. We have seen it a lot of times this weekend in action. The Tri Brigade will resolve, and we have to say the RevzCards started things off incredibly well. Not only with the Ash Blossom being activating on the Branded Fusion, but also the Impermanence was there to negate the Dragostapelia. And now, Pikami knows that this access code talker will be enough to seal the game.
RevzCards joining Lithium in the semi-finals.
Battle phase.
Still the battle phase.
And RevzCards takes this win incredibly with a 2-0 victory over Pikami.
Over to Ed with RevzCards for an interview.
And your winner of that round is RevzCards! Moving in to the next round. Congratulations, commiserations, Pikami. All right, we're going to go over here and have ourselves a quick little chat about that game, because that was a hell of a duel. Grab yourself that mic, stand on our little cross, and we'll have a quick talk. That was, well, I can tell you that the commentators referred to that as the greatest turn one in the entire tournament during one of your games.
I had everything. Yeah, it was a crazy game, just all round. I watched some of my matches back yesterday. Very suboptimal plays. So game face on, new day. Great game. Great game.
It was a great game. So let's go through some of that happened. There was a strong field from Pikami at the start in game one. Masquerade, Aluba, Dramaturge. That's very intimidating, but you managed to play around that. The Branded Fusion away Masquerade for the Mirror Jade. You got the Max C out, and then you managed to Ash her Max C as well.
Yep.
Then you just built that huge field into the access code talker, taking game one. So what was going through your mind at that point? You have to remain quite composed in a quarter-final, so how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I was just kind of in the zone for the first game of the day, which is very surprising. Just trying to figure out the lines, save the Ash for the Max C, because I knew she added the Max C off the Prosperity. And that's it. The rest is history.
The rest is history. So then game two, you had, like I said, the commentator said it was the best turn one of the entire tournament.
Yeah.
There was that frightening moment of the Super Poly, though, from Pikami into that Dragostapelia.
Yep.
But then you ashed that Branded Fusion. That was very good. And then the Branded in red for the Masquerade. And then you use the Revolt to bring back all those monsters for the Ominous Omen. And then the Infinite Impermanence on the Dragostapelia. But the crowd went nuts when that happened. It was very exciting. And then into that access code for the sort of classic end play. So how were you feeling after that the second game sweep there?
I'm feeling good now. Up against Lithium next, I believe.
You are?
Dogmatica, very scary. We'll see how that goes. But can I just say, Rescue Cat, best card in the game. Best card in the game.
Best card in the game.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see how you fare against Dogmatica in the next round. So congratulations again. I'll let you have some rest for a bit.